Hello. Hello, hello. How is everybody? Uh, it is Thursday, noon. Time for another live show from Running with Grace. How's everybody doing? Let me know where you're coming from. Drop something in the chat, and we will get started here on the meat of all of this here in a minute. If I'm actually wondering if there are going to be a lot of people here, because I know Star Wars is this weekend. Rundisney Star Wars is this weekend, and I know so many of you are headed down there. And I'm telling you, I really wish I were going. But I'm wearing my Princess Leia shirt, and I've got my Star Wars Stormtrooper mug. So I am there in spirit. And one of you guys, hi Steph, one of you guys is bringing another flat heather head down to Star Wars weekend. So I, again, am there in spirit. So welcome. And I really want to talk about the Boston Marathon. I've never actually watched the Boston Marathon before this year, and I was floored. First of all, let me know if you're here, if you watched any of the Boston Marathon, or if you watched like highlights of it or anything like that, because it was amazing. John, you are in Cocoa Beach. Wow, that's amazing. I love Cocoa Beach. We were going to head down there for spring break, but didn't get that far. I'm going to the expo tomorrow and for the Joyful Miles meetup. So say hi to everybody for me, John. That would be great. And Stephanie, you are, Pittsburgh. Isn't it like ridiculously cold there now? Stephanie, I wish we were both in Florida right now. I mean, for a lot of reasons, but really, it's snowing. I'm telling you, it's late. It's coming up on late April. This is not okay anymore. Okay. Streamed it live. It was awesome. There are no words. Yeah. So let's talk about the Boston Marathon. First, everybody was really expecting Shalane Flanagan to win. Yes, that was kind of what everybody was hoping for, because she did so well at the New York City Marathon. What I find so interesting about how not only that she did not finish in the Katie, you're just right on time. I just started. Hi, Troy. Hi, Katie. The thing about Shalane not winning Boston was that, and I want to say it was Desi Linden that actually said this, but it could have been any one of the American women saying that the women's field for the Americans was so deep, it was anybody's race, especially in those conditions. Who is really glad they did not run in Boston on Monday? Because that looked horrid. The conditions were cold and brutal and windy. And if you watched any of it, you could see the guys, the men. One of them was wearing a windbreaker style jacket, and it was just whipping around like a sail. And I'm thinking, no, you could actually see sheets of rain. I'm, there are those days where I'm like, maybe wouldn't it be fun if I qualified for Boston? Let's just say that I'm really glad that that was not my race. Here is what another thing that was so interesting was, there were a lot of things that were interesting about that race. And the biggest story was definitely the weather, right? Cold, rainy, gross. The broadcast, the cameras were still not doing well. Like the cameras weren't always working. Sarah Sellers, yep, she was amazing. Desi Linden, of course, winning the thing. And I'm primarily talking about the women's field right now. And yes, there is a lot about the men's field that is worth noting. But what I found so interesting was it was at mile 10, somewhere in there, that the women's team was still running together. So you have in that pack, you have Desi Linden, you have Molly Huddle, you have you have Shalane Flanagan, and I believe there was one other in that top 15 group of women or so. I want to say it was Sarah Sellers. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it was just so interesting to watch the crowd and how a professional race is run like that, and you keep together just to, especially in conditions like that, to kind of fight off that. To fight off those conditions, and you kind of take turns being in the lead. But then you have Shalane Flanagan at mile 10, just, hey, Desi, I'm going to go use the bathroom really fast. She's in and out of there in 13 seconds. I mean, she's fast at everything. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I found that stunning. And the other thing that I also found interesting about that is that there was no line. You know, when you are the first in the pack, there's no line for the porta potties. You know, gives me an incentive to work a little harder, maybe. Let's see who's here. Hi, Meredith. How are you? Yep, the women were so uplifting to watch. And here's what, faster than a NASCAR pit stop. It's so true. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. So Shalane's in and out of there, and I was half expecting her. I really don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting her to be right with the pack right away within another mile. And she was right back up with that front of the pack. And I was so impressed by that. And then that Desi Linden basically waited for her. And then you're down to these top 5. And then you have Desi Linden. And oh, doggone it, I can't remember the woman there was one woman who was way out in front, and then there was another woman with Desi that was running just to catch up. And she was charging, probably basically around Heartbreak Hill. She was charging. Thank you, Daska. Yes. She was just charging Heartbreak Hill, and to look at the sheer determination on her face. It's like it wasn't even raining. Weather, whatever. It's like it wasn't even raining. Her focus and her determination to finish that race. And she knew she was leading, but I don't even know that she realized by how much. And if you've ever run in conditions like that, I know Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend is a really good example. The last couple of years that you cross that finish line, and you're almost once the adrenaline is done, and once you stop moving, your body just says, "We're done," shutting down. And Desi went to medical, and rightfully so. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible day. So, but that she looked so strong all the way across that finish line was just a sight to behold. So I was really excited to watch the Boston Marathon. So Des said she was thinking of dropping out at that point. Yeah. Wow. I didn't hear that, Meredith. Wanting to do Boston now. Yeah. Okay. Who, just say something in the chat. Who wants to try to go for Boston now? I'm kind of over that, but in the first 24 hours, I'm like, yeah, I could try for Boston. Yeah. And Desi Linden looked like a Brooks ad. She really did. Oh my gosh. You guys, it was so fun to watch that. Like I said, I've never watched the Boston Marathon, but this year, not only was I watching it, so I had it up I had NBCSN on my TV, and then I had my laptop open, and I'm following along on Twitter. And then the Run Experience, their channel, they popped in live for up on Heartbreak Hill. And their broadcast live was so spotty, like the sound was in and out and the picture was in and out because just the streaming service was so bad because the conditions were so bad. So I was watching YouTube over here with the Run Experience, and I had the national coverage, and then I had my phone. I mean, it's crazy. It was all over the place. And then by the time Desi hit that last half mile or that last 5K, I was just on the edge of my seat, just watching her in awe. Yeah, you could see the determination. Charity bib only. There's no way I could qualify. Yeah, I did check how much harder I would have to work to even be considered to qualify for a Boston Marathon qualifier. Yeah, I have a lot of work to do. So if I qualified when I'm 45, I think my qualification time is 3:55. Yeah. I don't think so. At the bathroom break, she was helping Shalane, told her, whatever you need, I'll probably drop out. Interesting. Helping her gave Des her legs back. That's really interesting. And you know what's, someone had pulled this tweet up after Shalane Flanagan won New York, right? Desi Linden had tweeted, hey, great job. Congratulations, Shalane. Love that you're my teammate, so on and so forth. Shalane had tweeted back to her and said, now it's your turn. So that's pretty dang cool. My 4:25 finish would be a good time if I was 70. I know there is an advantage to aging up, I think, but I'm not sure. Yeah. So when I age up, I have 10 extra minutes to play with, but I still have to work super, super hard. I would love to go to Boston. However, this is from Katie. I never even ran a marathon, and I'm not going to have quite the story that Sellers had. Sarah Sellers, it's a dream, but it may be a goal after I actually run 26.2. Steph says, I think the fact that she kept focusing on helping others, I think there is something to that, Steph. She's looking at Shalane and she's looking at Molly Huddle, and I think there's something to that when the conditions are so bad mentally. I mean, think about it, guys. It wasn't just when they started, they go, right? They're standing out there in the rain and the gross, and they probably have a tent because they're elites, but it's still cold and gross out there. They were probably standing out there for a while, getting cold before they even started. The wind is driving, the rain is driving. Think about that. If the conditions are lousy, I'll sit in my car and wait, or I might even skip the race altogether. Granted, this is Boston, but that's a different story. Guys, I am fighting a little bit of a sore throat. I taught scuba this weekend, so I'm going to try to get through today. But yeah, just so you know, the elites were in a church. Oh, is that what was going on? Okay, cool. Thanks, Thomas. And welcome. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Galen Rupp. I never had a chance since Monday. Granted, it's Thursday. I never had a chance to find out what happened to him. Just wasn't his day? The rest of us huddled. Thomas, did you participate on Monday? Sounds like you were there. It looked awful. I mean, it looked awful, awful. Hi, Running Geek Girl. How are you? We are talking a little bit. Oh, yes, it was awful. Kudos to you though, man, that you were there and you were doing it. Did you finish? Is my question. And what was the actual temperature? Because it looked like it was 35 something ridiculous degrees. So it just looked, in so many different ways, it looked awful. But I didn't hear I know Galen Rupp didn't finish well. First Boston, wasn't quitting. Kudos, man. Nicely done. That is just impressive. First, Boston, are you going to go back is my next question to you, Thomas. Are you going to try to go again? So congratulations, man. That was a rough day. So congratulations to you. Yeah, I saw that Galen Rupp dropped a water bottle. You know what? That's a good point. I didn't think about that later as I was watching the really women's field, but wind chill was in the 20s. Thomas, that wasn't rain. That was pouring. That was like, I was just watching, because it's so hard to judge when it's raining on TV, right? When you're watching TV, and that's why like movie rain is bigger drops. And so you can actually tell it's raining. But when you're watching it on TV, you can't really tell, but you could tell that it was raining. I mean, every footfall was a splash. You could see like the wind pushing the rain in sheets. It was, I mean, brutal, man. So again, congratulations. Yeah, I was hoping that Galen would finish well, but those are the kinds of conditions. Yeah, 25. I did hear that. 25 to 30 mile an hour headwinds. I mean, it's like Boston this year is already, pretty good hills. But then you're running uphill into the wind the entire marathon. That just doesn't, and into the rain. It was just, there was just water everywhere. Yeah, Meredith, you're right. So it's too bad that Galen couldn't finish as well as he was kind of expected to. But then again, I think that whole day would have been anybody's race, right? Because conditions like that will knock any favorite down a couple of notches, right? According to Flow Track, there were 23 DNFs from the elite field. That's a lot. Thank you for that stat, Steph. Wow. That's huge. So it's not like Boston's an easy course anyway. That's one of those things, like you look at Boston on a good day, the entire Ethiopian. Oh, wow. Okay. That's just, ugh, that was a hard day. So if you finished, congratulations. If you even showed up, congratulations, because that was a big day. What else can we talk about with with Boston? Anybody else have any cool trivia from Boston? If you are planning on doing Boston ever, let me know. Hills are deceptive. Oh my gosh. I mean, they talk about Heartbreak Hill. And I'll tell you, I still need to look at the elevation profile for that, because that just looks like a tough course. Okay, so I know I have a few of my Rundisney friends here. You live in Denver? Dude, so do I. Do you know that? Thomas, this is the first time I've seen you here. Holy moly. You live in Denver and Heartbreak Hill kicked your butt. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, when you live up here at a Mile High, I see your running group forming. Thomas will talk. Okay. Hey, if you haven't already yet, Thomas, please subscribe, because we have a lot of fun, and we do a lot of these live videos every once in a while. So, Running Guru's vlog about running Boston shows just how rough it was. Man, he won the year of the bombing and gave his medal back to the city. Okay. I was sad to see Desisa from the Ethiopian team drop out. He won the year of the bombing and gave his medal back to the city. That's good sportsmanship right there. Excuse me, you guys. I'm working on it. Rundisney. So it looks like a lot of my Disney friends are here, which means I'm guessing you're not down at Star Wars. I'm sorry. We'll have to go. I am thinking thinking, and it looks like it's a pretty good possibility that we will be at Star Wars next year. Yeah. So, well, I'm watching everybody on Facebook going to the expo. I'm on Team Run Disney Facebook page, and they don't, John. They do not offer gels, as far as I've been able to tell, for the Run Disney races anymore. Excuse me, Cliff Shots is no longer a sponsor, but Jelly Belly Sport Beans are. So they've been offering up those Jelly Bellies, and they're good, but they're like jelly beans. They're a little more tart. They're a little saltier. But if you're used to goo and haven't tried the sport beans, don't try them on race day. So that's just a little heads up as to what's going on there. They are also, at least for marathon weekend, guys, if you guys did Princess, what did they have for their Powerade? What was the flavor? Because it was weird for marathon weekend. It was a clear cherry Powerade. So yeah, let me know what they offered at Princess, if it was any different. My daughter and I are planning on Star Wars next year for Sweet 16. Yay, that'll be fun. If I don't do Princess, I might do Star Wars. It will depend on which. I have been telling my son, Christine, for the last 2 years, that we're going to do Star Wars. We'll do Star Wars. Maybe next year we'll do Star Wars. And this year, after, going to Walt Disney World without him, and then we're going to do Wine and Dine without him. Like, if I don't take him to Star Wars next year and we go to Star Wars without him, the kid's going to run away from home. I mean, seriously, I'm kidding. He wouldn't, but he has not been very happy that we've been planning these Disney trips without him. So yeah, we're definitely going to do Star Wars next year, or at least we're going to make every effort that we can. I know my Instagram story is making me wish I was in Orlando. Yeah. A lemon lime, really. That was your, so Princess was the lemon lime Powerade. That's better, I think, than the clear cherry Powerade. That, I don't know. It just seemed, really? You like the clear cherry more than you thought you would? Oh, and it was also a Princess. Okay. You know what? I think y'all are right. So I think it was cherry lime. I could be wrong. I just remember them yelling it, clear cherry Powerade. I just remember them yelling that. That's all I could remember. My daughter's home for Wine and Dine. Okay. Got it. Wine and Dine got her to start running. Fun. That's exciting. I like that it was clear in case I spilled it myself. I can't tell you how many times I've done that, and only with the fruit punch, the red stuff. Because I'll spill it, and I almost always wear blue or something else. But yeah, clear would have been good. I think the biggest question, though, was people were taking something clear and they thought it was water, and then they'd go to drink it and that's not water. I think that was the biggest issue that they had, is that because it was clear, people were getting confused. I don't know if anybody else had that problem, but let's see what is happening. So, they clearly yelled what it was. Yeah. So today's Thursday. The expo starts today. I've seen some really cool merch already. I like the t-shirts. Let's see. It looks like the expo wasn't too crazy from what I was finding out from people who are there now. I've seen a lot of great pictures so far. It looks like it's going to be warm. They've already issued a weather advisory again. I mean, I think they do this every year, but the weather advisory was pretty darn warm. So anybody know what the weather's going to do in Orlando? I'm going to look it up, because I don't know. Both times I've been at Walt Disney World for race weekends, it's been freezing. And so now it's, warm and nice. And I'm just sitting here going, okay, let's see what's happening. And what's the weather in Orlando? Do I dare check? It's 84 degrees. 84 degrees. Can you even see that? You can't even see that. 84 degrees, high of 87. 66, 67 degrees, 68 degrees at race start, but windy. Ooh, guys, high winds. It's currently pretty warm in Orlando. You know what, Running Geek Girl, I'm really interested to see. I have not actually seen confirmation from Rundisney. I have only seen people speculate, but I think they're getting rid of Active. I think they're getting rid of active.com. They're going to an in-house registration format for a couple of reasons. If you go through Active, you have to pay, it's like $25 per registration, I believe. Maybe it's more than that. If they do that, you're right, Christine. Rundisney at Boston wouldn't spill the beans. That's interesting, Thomas. That they haven't actually confirmed that that's what they're doing. There's a lot of speculation, which means that a lot of people are taking it as truth that that's what they're doing. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what they decide to do, to do an in-house registration, because but I have a couple of theories on this. If they do an in-house registration, that could create a little bit of boat rocking, because then people wouldn't go to TAs, and travel agents carry those, excuse me, they carry those bibs and then you don't have to pay the active fee. And you buy the package with the bibs involved, and you don't have to pay the active fee. Well, they get rid of active, then that fee goes away. Would people go to travel agents to get those packages? And then are the travel agents out of luck, or they don't get the business that they normally would? That's one concern I would have. The other one, as Christine, as you mentioned, it could be a nightmare. It could be if they tried to, and yes, Christine, you hit it on the head. I think they would. I think they would bump up the price to match what you would pay for the active fee anyway. So if it's, I'm pulling out numbers here, if it's a $100 registration and it's a $25 active fee, would they charge $125? Oh, maybe. I mean, if you're already looking at an $85 5K, add $25 on top of that, would you pay $110 for a 5K? Now, that being said, the 5Ks still sell out at $85. The 10Ks, I don't even know what the 10K standalone. We can all say no, but we all would. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No matter what they do, if they run registration in-house, it's going to have all kinds of glitches. And, I haven't been 100% happy with Active anyway. So I think it's one of those weird things that's going to be a transition. There are going to be a lot of people mad, and there are going to be a lot of people that will say, oh, no, this is a good thing. And there will be people that say, no, this sucks, and whatever. And honestly, that Disney has gone this long going through a third party that's what has surprised me. Once these races started selling out and doing as well as they have been, why haven't they done this before? Disney is so big that they have 1,000 hands and not one of them knows what any of the others are doing, unless they're promoting something. So, for example, Incredibles. Why are the virtual medals The Incredibles this year because Incredibles 2 is coming out. That is the only reason. And you have Pixar. Pixar Pier over at Disneyland is opening this summer, and Hollywood Studios. No, well, Pixar Pier is kind of rolling out as the summer goes along. And then you have Toy Story Land over at Hollywood Studios, right? So it's all this big Pixar push, which is great. I love this whole thing, but that is really the only reason why the virtual medals are Incredibles, which are actually kind of cool. You don't think they were okay? Probably if they still had guaranteed entry. Yeah, I wonder if they could, if they made the 5K any bigger, it would be wall-to-wall people. Don't you think? No matter what they do, it's going to have all kind of glitches. So, what's interesting about Princess? I was talking to a couple of people. Let me know. I know a couple of you guys went to Princess. What was your overall impression of Princess? I wasn't there. I can only tell you what I heard from my friends who were there, that it was kind of, there was a little bit of attitude from some of the runners, from a lot of women. So you went to Princess. See, Thomas, that's, I know it's for, it's one of those women, it's not a women's only race, but it's obviously designed for women. Once I complete Fairy Tale Challenge, I'm done with Princess. You may be biased. Well, and you did your first, Meredith, you did your first half there. I think Princess is a fantastic weekend because it is super entry level. It is a primarily women's field. But what I had heard about Princess is that there was a lot of attitude, not just on the part of some of the runners. And I'm certainly not saying a majority from what I'm understanding. Again, this is secondhand information. Crazy at the expo. That's where you found the attitude. This is interesting. I want to bring that up, Steph. But then the volunteers were kind of mean, not mean. They were just kind of snarky. And I don't think that's the attitude that we need to have. And Steph, you nailed it here. I've never seen so many women being mean to other women. Guys, that's wrong. And yeah, Christine, you have a point. They could learn from the women at Boston. Too many women, too much estrogen and snark. I don't know. I have done, I started this whole thing with women's only events, 20 years ago, the Danskin Women's Triathlon. And when the Susan B. Komen Race for the Cure started, there was this whole supportive attitude about that. And that's kind of what I was expecting as far as the feedback goes from Princess, that it's not, but it's becoming not. I mean, you didn't see any of that. That's good, Christine. Excuse me. Tinkerbell, I think, is different. And, I'm starting to miss the Disneyland events. I shouldn't have said that. For the closeness and for the intimacy of those races, I am kind of, I'm kind of missing those events. Didn't get that. Told them all thank you, and they seemed sort of uninterested. That's interesting. My corral volunteer was awesome. Yes, I was ready for the female power. Again, I don't know if it was just that event, or I don't know. Maybe it was just that event this year. And I'm hoping that that's the case and that there's a little bit more supportive. This is interesting, guys. So didn't notice anything with volunteers, all those that I encountered. Thomas, since you did Princess, if you're still here, as a guy, I'm curious what you got, because a lot of the feedback that I have gotten about Princess was from guys' feedback. Meredith, but again, if you guys have done it, if you guys love it, I'm certainly, for me, the Princess thing is way down the list in terms of theming. I'm just not the prince. For the princesses that they chose this year were all of my favorites. You found it no different than any other Disney race. Okay, perfect. That's good to know. So what I would like to know is Star Wars guy heavy? I mean, nerd here. I'll pick Star Wars over Princess any day of the week. That's just me. I'll pick Avengers over Princess. I'll pick Avengers over Tinkerbell any day of the week. But that's me. Oh, Christine, that's awesome. Doesn't surprise me about you. I had no clue what an Infinity Gauntlet was until you made that costume. I may have to, for those of you who have not tuned in before, for Avengers Disneyland race in November, my husband and I created the Infinity Gauntlet costume. It had all of the stones on it. It had one here, and then it had the row here, and then one big one in the middle. And it lit up. Like we had it battery operated so I could turn it on and it lit up. And I was I'm still very excited about it. I just can't get into the Avengers movies. We already have our tickets for Infinity War. And I think I'm going to wear the gauntlet. I'm going to have to turn it off while I'm there. But yeah, no, you know what? I don't know. Like I said, I've got my, Princess Leia shirt, General Leia Organa Solo shirt. And, that's just me. That's, it is. Okay. So Star Wars is geek heavy in a good way. See, I would be just right at home. Let's see what else. Now Star Wars, I understand, but it's entirely because of my daughter. No, I'm looking forward to Infinity War. It's going to be a very expensive summer at the movies for us. So we're already saving. Let's see. What were we talking about? Star Wars. There was something else I wanted to mention. Love the Avengers movies. Haven't seen any of the Star Wars movies. I have to say, Star Wars lately has been hit or miss. Excuse me. That's what it was. Esteban, hello, welcome. One thing I wanted to mention, and somebody asked me earlier if I was doing the Incredibles virtual shorts. That's going to be, I'm on the fence on that one for myself. I know my son wants to do it. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to sign him up for this series. It's going to keep him running. I know a few of you have been following along on his journey to the 10K. We have been struggling with just spotty weather, and it's been really hard to get the miles in. And between travel and all of that, it has been tough just to get my own miles in, and then to have him run with me on the days it's been, excuse me, you guys. Wow. On the days that it's been nice enough, it's just been really hard to get those runs in. He's doing well, and I know he could manage 6 miles. He could totally. Yeah. You're in Kansas. One day it's 80 and 2 days later it's snowing. So Any new runs lately? Here in Wisconsin, the weather is nasty for running outside. You know, I'm telling you, it's April 19th. Where the heck is spring? Can someone please tell me this? Where is spring? We were walking to school this morning, and there was a wind out of the south, of all things. No, it's 97th of January. Oh, Steph, it's perfect. No, it's the 97th day of January. It sure feels that way. We're walking down toward school, and the wind's coming out of the south, and it's freezing, and we're just like huddled, and the wind is blowing. I don't know if you guys saw here in Denver yesterday. Well, Thomas, you've been here. We had 60-mile-an-hour gusts here in Denver. And maybe, in fact, I got some video of it, so I might show you guys on the weekend update. A friend of mine posted on Facebook that their neighbor's trampoline, 10-foot wide trampoline with the cage on it and everything, went blowing over backyard fences 3 or 4 yards down. That's how windy it was here. Yeah, it's not fun. No. So it's been an interesting spring. And this is why my poor daughter's trampoline still has not been pulled out. Yep. Okay, because of this weather, and I know it's been like this nationwide. You guys up northeast still have winter-like conditions. I know you guys in Wisconsin are having nasty weather. It's just like, okay, where is summer? Oh, tornado touchdowns. That's great. Wow. See, it's April. I actually was telling my son today on the way to school, I am looking forward to those mornings when it's too hot to run. I am actually looking forward to that. Bring that on. I was in Texas. Okay. I was in Texas 2 weeks ago, and I was really looking forward to running in Austin. I was really looking forward to it. And we're right there on that Riverside path, right? If you guys know anything about Austin, there's this beautiful path that runs the length of downtown. We were right there. And I was ready to get up and go running the next morning. And sure enough, it was pouring down rain and 35 degrees. It's Texas in April. I'm ready for summer. I never thought I would say that. I am ready for summer. Excuse me, you guys. Last Sunday, we had several inches of snow, put my winter boots for, see? We shouldn't have to say that in April, putting on winter boots and going for, a walk in the snow. It's April. Okay. I'm going to stop complaining about the weather. It is quite lovely today. It's supposed to snow on Saturday when I have a 15-mile run. Hey, so what's everybody training for? I want to know, I know a few of you have just gotten back from some things and you're kind of in between plans. Let me know what you're training for. And I'm only, 4 weeks out. Am I 4 weeks out from Ogden Half Marathon? Yep, I am 4 weeks out from Ogden Half Marathon. That kind of dawned on me a couple weeks ago. I'm like, ooh, wow. It's getting close. Yeah, 4 weeks to Ogden Half. See, it says it right there. 4 weeks to Ogden Half Marathon, and I have a 15-mile run this week. It's been a light running week because we're putting all the eggs in the 15-mile basket when it's going to be snowing and gross. Then, and then we start sliding down the ramp into taper a little bit. So I'll still have some hard efforts, some race pace efforts, but it's going to be a good, I'm looking at it. I'm feeling ready for it. I'm basically just trying to keep myself from being injured at this point. Where are we? So who's running what? 15 Family glow run 5K tomorrow. That sounds like fun. And a half marathon next Saturday. Where's your half marathon? Local, Christine? Looking at 10Ks to use as proof of time for Star Wars next year. Disney Mom, where are you? Because there are some fun ones. Pittsburgh half and 5K. Wow. Both back to back. So the 5K is the second day. Training is not where I'd like, but my knee is better. Good. That's good, Christine. Probably because I stopped speed workouts. Man, one thing that I have struggled with this training cycle is keeping the speed going. It has been, oh, cool. It has been a tough, for me, it's not knees, it's my hips. I definitely struggle when I have to do a lot of a lot of speed work. Katie, I have a 5K in May. Next big goal is quarter marathon in June. Good for you. So a quarter marathon, I have to do math, 6.56-ish. It's just over a 10K, yeah? That sounds like fun. That will be cool. So Christine, your glow run is and half are in Michigan with the wonderful weather you guys have had. Stephanie, so your 5K, then half marathon called the Steel Challenge in Pittsburgh. That sounds like fun, man. This is the hard part about doing what I do. It's like I hear all of these great races and I'm like, it's so many races, so little time. You're in Kansas, you're in Kansas halfway between Denver and KC. Okay. Gotcha. Half marathon in Maryland. Would you ever consider is it the Baltimore Marathon? Because that one's on my bucket list stuff. 6.55. That's actually kind of fun. That's a very unique distance, Katie. A quarter marathon. It makes perfect sense, but you don't find a lot of those. John is doing a 200-mile team relay in Gettysburg to DC, and then New York City, going to New York. Nicely done, John. Meredith, half marathon coming up Cinco de Mayo, and then Paris. What half would you recommend in Colorado? Ooh. Well, there are a few coming up. Colfax half is in May. I'm not sure of the date. There's the Colfax marathon and half marathon. Then there is the Slacker half marathon, which is it's on my list this year. I'm going to make that a decision after Ogden. If I'm not happy with how Ogden goes, I will probably do Slacker. I'm just not sure about Slacker again this year. It's one of those things that I keep pushing off. So it's an all downhill race, and it starts at 10,000 feet in Loveland, Colorado, close to the Eisenhower Tunnel. If you know anything about Colorado, there's a 1.5-mile tunnel that goes through the mountain to get to the other side of the Continental Divide. You start up there, and then you run downhill about 2,000 feet in elevation for the full half marathon for 13.1 miles, and you end up in Georgetown. That's what I would recommend. I know there are some good ones. I'm not happy with some of them that are here in Denver anymore. I really don't like the rock and roll half that is in the fall. Colorado Springs and Fort Collins would have a couple good ones, as would Boulder. Let me do some research for you. How's that, Meredith? How about that? Half marathons, 13.1 in CO. Okay. I think we're going to do 1 or 2 this summer okay. Disney Mom, I'm doing 1 or 2 this summer in Wichita. Still trying to decide on which marathon would be my first. Steph, I don't think you can go wrong with Disney. That's my personal, if I were to do it all over again, I would make Disney my first marathon. But that being said, Phoenix was good. Phoenix as a first marathon was really, Rock and Roll, Arizona. And that's in January. And then they have the Phoenix Marathon, which is like a couple weeks later. It's pretty flat and a pretty fast course. So that except that it's dry. What do you think about Boston Marathon, Esteban? We talked about that at the top of the hour. It was amazing. In short, Esteban, basically, I'm super excited for the entire American women's field. Just that they dominated the top 7 spots. The North American women, there was one Canadian in there. And I was just so impressed with how they fought through the conditions of that race. Katie, I love it. Pretty pumped about it. Plus, I get to say the words I ran and marathon in the same sentence. Yep. That's about right. When you can say, I finished a marathon, that's this kind of thing. Yeah. And then people look at you like, whoa. Colfax was the one I was looking at. You know what? I want to do Slacker. I want the t-shirt. I want the t-shirt that says I ran a half marathon Slacker. That's what I want. Hi, Dave. Oh, hi, Dave. How are you? Good to see you. Heard of the tunnel marathons. I'm assuming stuff you're talking about like, in Washington State. Are those, okay, I don't know what those are. I know there are some races that, follow the New York subway system, the tube, stuff like that. So those are the kinds of things that I kind of think, I don't know, tunnel marathons, if it's what I think it is. A friend of mine a long time ago did a walkathon in the Tube in London. And I was very impressed with her. I get a little claustrophobic when I can't see, can't breathe, and it's just a little creepy for me. That's kind of not my thing. I'm not sure if that's what we're talking about here. Hoping for Disney or Dopey 2020 be my first full. And that's amazing. Come and do Southampton in England. Dave, you keep, one of these days I am going to get to England. I will. The original Boston Marathon was on Sunday. The fake one is on Monday and in the wrong country. Oh, Dave, that's hilarious. Okay, let's see. Jack and Jill Downhill. I have heard about that one. Where is that one? Disney 20th was my first, and Disney 25th were my first and second marathons. Best choice ever. Tons of support. Again, you can't, the ultimate marathon for me. Esteban, that's a great question. I would love to do Chicago. I grew up in that area. I would love to do Chicago. Gosh, that's a great question. In my little pipe dream brain, I wouldn't mind doing Boston Marathon as a charity slot. But gosh, that's a really good question. Marathons. Oh, I've got one for you, Esteban. The only thing is that this is so far outside of the realm of possibility, at least in this point in my life. I would love to do the World Championship, Ironman World Championship, which is, finishes off with a marathon. That one in Hawaii. Again, way outside the realm of possibility right now. It amazes me how many people don't know distances for races. Tell them you ran a marathon and they're like, yeah, so? So it's what, like 3 miles? And then you look at them like, yeah, this is kind of, yeah, sort of. All right. Running Chicago in October. Nice. It just looks like a beautiful, I know the weather can, can go either way. And that one has been hot in the last few years, but I don't know. I've never been running in Chicago, believe it or not, even though I kind of grew up in the area. I don't know. I think that one as a major, I would like to do that one. Love the Tube in London too. Didn't know about you in Chicago. My favorite pizza place. Oh boy. Why am I blanking on the name? See, it's been a while since I've lived there. It's not Uno's. Uno's is the chain. That's not what I'm thinking about. Lou Malnati's? I think that's the one. Funny enough, though, we actually would do a lot of the German stuff. My family, my dad would always bring me to the German places. So we didn't do a lot of the pizza. We did a lot of the German place. Berghoff's. Is it Berghoff's? He'd take me to Berghoff's a lot. Guys, it is close to the top of the Giordano's. Portillo's. I don't know what Portillo's. Okay. It is, we're running out of time here, and the popcorn isn't bad either. You're right. So I want to thank you guys. Let's see, what's coming up next couple of weeks. It's not pizza, it's beef. What's coming up? So I'm going to try to get an update out this weekend, and coming up on Tuesday. What am I talking about? Tuesday. I had a brilliant idea for Tuesday. Hang on. I can tell you. What was I going to do for Tuesday? Figuring out how fast you should be running. How fast should you be running? Okay. It's not about speed. It's about adjusting your speed. Okay. So, but I am going to sign off here in a few minutes. And next week, we are screaming in on the end of April, aren't we? So yeah, I have been kind of MIA, and I apologize for that. It has been a tough couple of months. We've done a lot of traveling, and I'm not using that as an excuse, but it's an excuse. Sorry. I really do want to get back into getting some good content to you guys. So I'm doing a lot of writing, and then we're going to have, I'm going to get back into some semblance of normal before I get to Ogden. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by and saying hi. Great conversation. We talked about, we talked about Boston. We talked about races. We talked about Disney. Except Caroline, I'm about ready to jump off. Hey, go back and watch it. Okay, go back and watch it. So guys, before you head out, leave me a thumbs up, and thanks again. Subscribe if you haven't already. You guys have been awesome, and we will see you next time. See you over on the Run Experience here in about 3 minutes, because they're probably jumping on right now. All right, guys, take care. Go find your awesome. Happy running.